one of my beautiful members of the group and in the ministry, and she wants to give God the glory, give it back to Him, because when we overcome things, we need to make sure that we are not taking the glory from it.
Amen.
We have to give it back to God, honor Him in it and from it, because He's the only reason why we are even alive to give it. So without further ado, Miss Joy Bowen, I'm going to let you just tell the audience and tell our viewers who you are and where you are tuning in from, because this is a first.
Good night, everyone. My name is Joy Bowen-Daniel, and I am the wife of one, Lena Daniel, the mother of 5, the grandmother of 16, and I live in the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
I am 62 years old.
Young.
62 years young, should I say. And my testimony, I always tell people I'm not ashamed of my past. Now I understand that my past is healing for another woman or man, or a young woman or a young man. At a tender age, somewhere between 5, 6, 7, around there, my first encounter with abuse from a female family member. And I mean, I am speaking, I'm seeing, I vividly remember everything. And from that, my life became a target for sexual abuse, rape, physical abuse, mental abuse, you name it. I don't think it have it enough in the dictionary. That what I went through at the hands of others. And from that, well, like now I used to tell, I would say no, that apparently it was written on my forehead. Target, sexually abused. So, and as I left where we used to live in that small village, and I came down to, well, we will say the town. You leave the country and you come to the town. There it grew worse, even in school. There was one particular guy on my way to school. Every single day he will abuse me. I couldn't tell nobody. And then family members start, I was a target for family members. I couldn't say anything because who would believe me? And with that, because of that life, that spirit that was embedded in me, I became very promiscuous. And it did not stop there. Because for the years, it started about, I said 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And not until in my late 20s, I was still abused about it. I could not tell anyone, so I had to suffer in silence because it was a shame. When you can't speak out about these things, they will tell you you're lying. You want to make confusion in the family. And no one would be members of my family. And when they spoke out, they were told they were lying. So for me now, I asked the Lord, I literally asked the Lord to never let me remember my past because it was so painful. I told the Lord, I said, I do not want to remember it. So growing up, I will put this smile on my face, but the pain was inside. And I know there are women and men, there are children going through it. They put on this smile, but the pain is what we don't see. And my pain went on for years. Even after I accept, and that's the thing about it, even after I accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, that pain was right there still. Because I remember asking the Lord, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to remember it. So like it was pushed in the back of my mind. And then I remember, things were so bad that by chance, I might have been, let me back up a little bit. At the age about 15, I went to work, how we say, living maid. And there was this gentleman, and he waited till his wife went out. He went to work, but he would come back during the day. But every night, I had to sleep between his 2 girl children. And every morning, I would get up, and my nightgown would be way above my chest. But I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand because I had long flowing nightgowns sleeping in. How did it reach up here? And I said, probably Joy, you're sleeping bad, you're rolling, And it happened a morning, afternoon, I had to cook. And I remember putting on the pot on the fire, on the stove, and I am there waiting. And I saw his car pulling the driveway. But he had 2 dogs, 2 Doberman dogs. And before he came inside, he went wrong in the back and he let them loose. So letting them loose, I couldn't run out of the house. And when I looked outside, I saw the dogs and them. And they saw me and they were just spinning and barking. And I closed back the door. He went in his room and he lied down on his bed. Mind you, his bed facing direct to the kitchen. So I could see him on his bed. So I avoid going anywhere where I could see. I stayed in the kitchen by the stove. And I remember him calling me. And he called me, he said, come. He said, Joy, come. So I addressed him by his name. And I stepped from the kitchen into the dining room. And he realized it just clicked. And I said, I'm coming. But before I went, I turned around. I just got this, there's something that you know in your knower that something was not right. Because I saw him in his underwear lying on his bed with the door wide open. So I stepped back in the kitchen and I put on a pot of water. And in my mind, I said, if he only touch me, I will bathe him with that hot water. And I put on that pot of hot water and I am waiting and I'm talking and he said, Joy, you don't like me a little bit? I said, no. Not a little bit, self. I said, no. And he said, okay, come now. And I said, no, I addressed him by his name. I said, no. And he got off his bed. And while he was coming to me, I backed into the kitchen to the stove. And had to be God who tell him, don't touch her because she will kill you. That is how scared I was. And I stepped back in the kitchen. And when he realized I was just backing by his stove, he walked away and went in his room and he closed his door. That is about not even 3 weeks after I went there to work. So I don't know the area. I got that job through an agent. So I don't know the area, but all I know, it was Marabella. And when his wife came, I just shut down. I shut down, I put the food on the table for him, and I just shut down. I didn't eat, I didn't do anything. As soon as his wife came through the door, the tears started to bathe me. I started to cry, and all I heard, as she saw me, she didn't even ask me what happened. She just ran into the bedroom, and I heard her mouth, and she was shouting at him, you coming at the next one again? And she called a individual by her name who was working before me. And then I realized he kept on doing it. And I said, I want to go home. She put away the dogs. I packed my clothes. And what hurt me the most is that she did not give me a lift to the junction where I could get a taxi to go home. And that was about 4:30. And I circled that whole community trying to find the junction. Night came and I was still searching for where to get a taxi to go home. What hurt me more is that she could have carried me out the road because I was a 15-year-old child. And I went home, and when my mother saw me came home that over the night, she was so angry. And that was one instant. That is why I always tell people, I said I could have been the first woman on death row. In fact, not the first woman, the first female. Because trust me, I was going to out his light. Had he only touched me. That is how scared I was.
Let me ask you, we take a moment right there. At this point, from what I'm gathering, was the first time that you actually stepped up for yourself. You had been through all these sexually abusive situations previously, family and the young man when you would be walking home from school. But this is the first time that you actually, it clicked. No longer, not anymore am I going to go through this and allow it to keep happening. So my question to you is, what caused that? Because that's important. That's a pivoting moment in this testimony. What happened that caused you to say, you know what? Enough is enough at 15?
No, it was not enough is enough, because I went through worse after that.
But you started fighting back.
After that. But that was the beginning of me standing up.
Fighting back, yes.
But it got worse after that. It's there after that I became the target for family members, strangers. I mean, you name it. I don't have fingers to count. The abuse I went through at the hands of men. It started with female, but it ended with men.
Mm.
So it was like it right here. So even if I go by family members, they would target me. If they come to our home to spend time, they will target me. And who can you tell as a child? Who can you tell? Who would believe you? You always believe. You don't want to tell because you don't want to get in trouble, as though it's your fault. And that is what the enemy perpetrators does. They make it to feel that it's your fault.
Mm. So you had no one that you could confide in that would believe you in your mind?
Nope. No one.
So at what point after that incident took place and more abuse transpired, at what point did Joy speak up to someone to let them know what was happening?
It was about, I had my children already.
Wow.
And speaking out, I remember going to a family member and I told them what was going on with my other family members. And they denied. They said, no, I'm making confusion. I causing bacchanal in the house. And I was thrown out of the house. Nowhere to go.
And this is after you had children?
Yes. My children were allowed to remain, but I couldn't remain because I was making confusion.
And that's because you were standing up for yourself or for someone else? Standing
up for others.
That were experiencing what you experienced?
Yes. And I was lying, I was making confusion, I was thrown out. And my husband, he rented an apartment, and my children, I took my children and we went living there, and we are together still.
So I want to back up a little bit, Joy, because I believe we skipped a very important part that will help women that are experiencing this very same thing, because there's nothing new under the sun. And we hear about things that happen even in the scriptures that is still happening till today. And they're stories that I'm sure weren't written that we don't know about. So you're not the first, and unfortunately you won't be the last until God comes and destroys this sin, this place. But I want to back up a moment. From the point that you started standing up for yourself and the abuse increased and you were raped and all those horrific things, at what point did you even trust a man to have children with him? Because most women that endure these things, they can't even trust to get married or to have a serious relationship with anyone.
With me, because like I tell people, if a guy said they love you, to me, sex was love. So you're looking for love now. You're looking for someone to love you. So that is why I say I have 5 children, 4 different fathers. You are looking for love. You're looking for somebody to say, Joy, I love you. So the first person that said, Joy, they love you, you give yourself, because you're trying to move away from that. You don't want that abuse to go on in your life. So you feel that person will embrace you and take care of you and take you away from there. And then to compound that is more abuse from the perpetrators.
Mm.
The one who you look to, the one who you feel, okay, Joy, I love you. Okay, you have a baby, you feel they will take care of you, they dump you and they go on again.
I love your honesty, Joya, because I felt that. And a lot of us struggle with that. I myself, at one point in my life, I struggled with that. You said a very important key. You said, you're looking for anyone to say, I love you. Mm-hmm. When you've been abused for so long, it's not the things that they may do and how they may wine and dine you, but just to hear the words, I love you, that is sufficient. Mm-hmm. That is sufficient. That
there was,
wow.
To me, there was no wine and dine. There was not that. That is, I tell people, I never enjoy my teenage years. There was no wine and dine. Because you're looking for love. So you don't care about that. Even if you ain't get that, you don't know nothing about that. Mm-hmm. You don't know about going on a date. You don't know. I didn't know nothing about that. Come on now. I don't know nothing about that. So that is why I say whether you like the person or not, it's because you want to be accepted. You want to be accepted, whether you like them or not. And I'm telling you, you're in, and the first person came to me, my first son, father. I felt so in love with him, and he hurt me so bad. While I was 8 months pregnant, he told me he's going to get married. Now, mind you, I'm a 16-year-old. My heart and soul into that. I felt the earth could have opened and I go down. So that is why so to have just, on top of everything that you're going through. I mean, I could have been one bitter woman. God, he did not make me reach there. And I thank God. When I look back now, I thank God that he didn't allow me to reach that part of being bitter. I would not say bitter towards men, but I couldn't open up my heart and soul. I couldn't do it again. So you said you're me, okay. I am waiting for you to embrace me. Okay, like I said, sex was love. That is what I taught. And that have a lot of young women thinking sex is love because of that root of abuse that is embedded in them. That is what they go at. That is the target. If I give my body to him, he will love me. Big mistake. And it compound with, because I did not know who I am. Hallelujah. I had no self-esteem. Hallelujah. And self-esteem have a lot to do with it. Amen. Because these perpetrators rob you of that. Then you come and you meet this man who say he's madly in love with you, and then he drive that nail through your heart.
So my question, Mike, I have a question for you. At 16 years old, to become a mother at 16, huh, and a mother that never truly experienced love. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit. How was your mom towards you? Did you experience that love at least with her, that motherly love?
I would not say so, and I understand now because probably she didn't know how
Hmm.
to love.
Hmm.
She never told me she loved me because in that era, they don't know. She didn't know. I know. Now I know. She didn't know.
Hmm. So do you think that
She did.
that played a part, Joy, with you not being able to identify when someone else loved you because it didn't
That's
come from the foundation of love? We get that foundation from home, our parents, and a mixture, a concoction of our parents and God, and that family togetherness and that family love and unity. So if that wasn't there, would you say that that's what really started the settling for what you linked to be in love, which was sex? Because that's the only thing that
yes.
was shown to you.
Yes, you're looking for attention. Mind you, my father walked. And my father walked out. Well, he was also a married man with a family. So when I was born, he left my mother and she got married to somebody else. And when she and her husband separated, he came back. And he came back with the intention that she would go back with him. And she refused because when she took him to court so that he will take care of us through the court. He told her, he said, take my name out of the court and I will mind them. Big mistake she make, he did it. He never. I remember vividly he came home and he said, I and my sister, he said, what you all want? I said, I never forget this. I said, I want a dolly and a pair of shoes. That man measured my foot.
Mm.
He is dead and gone, and I'm still waiting for the dolly, and I'm still waiting for the shoes. And what my mother told me is he didn't come for that. He came to see if she would go back with him. And when she refused, he never came back.
Mm. Mm.
So you didn't have that role model of a father and a mother. You have a mother who working tirelessly to take care of us. My mother worked hard to take care of us. And so that is why I tell people, she did all she could, all she knew.
She knew.
So I don't blame her in that sense. She did all what she knew. But I did not have somebody to look up to, somebody who I could go to, somebody who will protect me. In that sense, I never had that. And now I understand because of the Lord. I understand why a young woman does end up promiscuous
Mm.
because of that seed that is planted in her. It don't, the relationship, to have a relationship with an individual, you have it because, well, I would say I use that because I don't want to be lonely.
Mm. Talk about
So
it.
the love was not there.
Mm.
And people say, but how you love them and you have children? God know my heart.
Yes.
I can't lie.
Mm.
It's because that is what you knew. And that is the
Come on now.
mistake. Sex is love. So the
Mm.
love you did not know how to fall in love again. That was cut out for me when I got hurt the first time. So you did not know how to. And that is why I literally used to cry out in church. I said, Lord, help me to love my husband.
Mm.
Because the pain, because you go through so much pain with men.
Mm.
Abuse physically, verbally, I mean, you name it.
Mm.
Compound with sexual abuse. I mean, it's like they put you in a tin and they leave you there.
Mm.
But I thank God for my former pastor was a woman. And she taught me a lot of things.
Mm.
And good Christian friends. Good Christian friends.
When you just mentioned you thank God for your former pastor, it made me think of stories in the Bible where women would always have to support one another to get through certain things. And it's amazing how God allows you to maybe not get it from your foundation. He knows what we are missing and he knows what we need. And he
Yes.
sent that woman, and yes, it might have been in your your older age, but he sent that woman to be what you never had.
That's it.
Now, you said something to me, one of the very first conversations that we had when we met. You compared yourself to the woman at the well. Let's talk about that. Why did you compare yourself to the woman at the well?
Because of the pain I've been through
Mm.
with the men, I decided, and now I look back at it, it was so sad. Instead, I go after the men. I went after the wives. My eldest son, when his wife, after he got married, his wife will come and she will throw words for me. And boy, how do you say long time? I used to cuss like custard.
Mm.
So I took off my rage on her. I mean, now I look back, I even met her after and I apologized to her.
Mm.
So I was going from man to man. That is why I said I felt like the woman at the well, man to man. So now what I do, I pray for their salvation now.
Mm.
I pray because none was mine. None of them was mine. I will put myself with men or who will find me as a target for sex. And that was all, sex. Because I would not get nothing from them. I had to work. So my life was just a target for sex. And the woman at the well, when the Lord told her, you have husbands, but none are yours.
Mm.
I had men, but none was mine.
But sex was sufficient.
That's it. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain this, but to me, it wasn't satisfying for me. Yet it was a target.
Mm.
You know, some people will say, well, that is what I enjoy. I did not. I don't understand why I used to gravitate there until I realized the seed that was planted from then was evil. So that was a target. That was the steel, and I was the magnet. So that would draw unless you remove the steel from the magnet, and which Jesus Christ alone could do, because I learned to forgive.